Pantheon at Busch Gardens Williamsburg and Toutatis at Parc Astérix are two amazing Intamin LSM multi-launch roller coasters. These two coasters have great launches, vertical spikes, and incredible ride elements. They are also both the headlining attraction at their respective park. Which of these two coasters is better though? Find out in this coaster fight between Pantheon and Toutatis. Toutatis was first announced at the 2018 IAAPA Expo. While it was the first announced, Toutatis opened in 2023, 1 year after Pantheon. Busch Gardens Williamsburg originally announced Pantheon in late 2019, and the coaster was originally scheduled to open in 2020. Because of delays, however, Pantheon did not open to the public until March 2022. Despite the delays, both Pantheon and Toutatis were worth the wait. Pantheon stands 178 feet or 54 meters tall at its tallest point, has 3,328 feet or 1,014 meters of track, reaches a top speed of 73 miles per hour or 117 kilometers per hour, and has 2 inversions. It also has a max angle of descent of 95 degrees. Toutatis, however, stands 167 feet or 51 meters tall at its tallest point, has 3,527 feet or 1,075 meters of track, reaches a top speed of 68 miles per hour or 110 kilometers per hour, and has 3 inversions. Like Pantheon, Toutatis has a beyond vertical drop, though its max angle of descent is 101 degrees, 6 degrees steeper than Pantheon. By a mere statistical comparison, both coasters are pretty evenly matched. Pantheon is the taller and faster of the two, while Toutatis is the longer of the two, has the steeper drop, and has 1 more inversion. Height, length, and speed are just 3 aspects of a coaster. To really see which coaster is the better of the two, you have to look at the ride's elements and how they use their respective layouts. And Toutatis and Pantheon have amazing layouts. Both coasters start with an LSM launch up into an inversion. Pantheon goes into a 0G winder, while Toutatis goes up into a cutback-like stall before going into the rest of its layout. After each inversion, Pantheon and Toutatis each enter a right-hand banked turn into 2 outer bank hills. This sequence is great on both coasters, but it is executed better on Toutatis. You take those outer banked airtime hills just a tad faster on Toutatis. After the outer banked hills, you enter the swing launch. And this section on both coasters is incredible, as you get varying types of airtime depending on which row you sit in. The backwards launch while sitting in the front row is awesome on both coasters, as you get a great ejector airtime pop. While the swing launch sections are similar, Toutatis's is a little bit better because of a step up, step down before the vertical spike. That dip is much larger and gives a nice ejector airtime pop before flying over the speed hill and up into the top hat. Pantheon does not have this step up, step down. Based on just the ride experience during the first half, Toutatis has the superior mix of elements, though Pantheon's speed makes that reverse launch over that speed hill much stronger. Both coasters have good top hats, but Pantheon's top hat is better. While its angle of descent is not as steep as Toutatis's, Pantheon's top hat is taller, has a better view, and delivers much better airtime. That is primarily because of the trim brake on Toutatis's top hat. Instead of acting like a holding brake or even an anticipation stall as advertised, the trim brake hits hard and saps a lot of the speed, especially for those in the front row. The trim brake is not too bad for those in the back row, though you can still feel it. Pantheon does not have a trim brake, which makes the airtime you get coming off of the top hat while sitting in the back row incredible. It is after the top hats where Pantheon and Toutatis differentiate themselves. While both coasters have excellent 0G stalls, Toutatis and Pantheon's second halves could not be more different. Toutatis opts for more ejector airtime. That banked airtime hill after the 0G stall is awesome, and the following airtime hill gives an amazing amount of ejector airtime. Pantheon's second half is great, Toutatis's is better. Toutatis definitely uses its extra track length well, giving Toutatis the edge for overall track layout. Now let's get into some specific categories. Toutatis and Pantheon deliver amazing ride experiences and have some of the best airtime on any roller coaster. Both coasters have strong ejector airtime during the swing launch sections, great floater airtime going up the top hat for those in the front rows, and coming off the top hat for those in the back row, though Toutatis' trim brake dampens some of that airtime, including for those in the back row, which makes the airtime coming off of Pantheon's top hat much better. While that is the case, Toutatis makes up for that trim brake by packing in significantly more airtime during the second half than Pantheon does. After the 0G stall, Toutatis throws in amazing ejector airtime on that larger airtime hill and good floater airtime on the wave turn. There's even some great airtime on the bunny hill double up into the final brake run. Pantheon has some good airtime as well, though it is not as powerful as Toutatis's. The large outer banked airtime hill gives a great amount of moderate floater airtime for those sitting towards the front of the train, and that last wave turn before the final brake run is awesome. Pantheon's airtime is great, Toutatis's is better. Toutatis also thrives in the horses department. The directional changes before the 0G stall and right after the ejector filled airtime hill are incredible and enhances your sense of speed. You also get some great inverted airtime on that last inversion. That 0G roll gives some great whip, especially coming out of it. While it is no Mosasaurus roll, it is still quite good. Pantheon has some great directional changes, especially after the 0G stall, though they are not as good as those on Toutatis. Both coasters deliver great hang time. The 0G stalls are amazing and perhaps some of the best hang time moments on any roller coaster. The first inversions on Pantheon and Toutatis are also quite good. It is hard to pick which one is better since Pantheon's 0G winder on a cooler day gives so much hang time. When it comes to airtime and forces, Pantheon and Toutatis are both quite good, though the edge goes to Toutatis since the airtime and forces are more varied and a little bit better. While Toutatis has the better overall airtime and forces, it and Pantheon have similar memorable moments. The swing launch stands out the most on both coasters. The reverse airtime, while sitting in the front row, is insane, and the vertical spikes offer great floater airtime. And while Pantheon's speed makes the reverse speed hill stronger and more insane, Toutatis' step up, step down before the vertical spike delivers an additional pop of airtime, which makes its swing launch just as good. The 0G stalls on Pantheon and Toutatis are each amazing, as are the climbs up onto the top hats. While they have similar memorable moments, Toutatis and Pantheon each have one additional memorable moment worth mentioning. Pantheon's drop off of its top hat is amazing. Since it is beyond vertical, you get flung out of your seat if you are in the very back row. It is such a great moment. Toutatis' ejector airtime hill after the 0G stall, however, sends you flying out of your seat even more so. This airtime hill delivers some of the strongest airtime out there, and you can feel that airtime regardless of where you sit along the train. That moment alone makes Toutatis worth a ride. It also gives Toutatis an edge over Pantheon. Pantheon and Toutatis are Intamin roller coasters, meaning they are two of the most thrilling roller coasters in the world. While they are not nearly as intense as Pantheon or Project 305 and Skyrush, Pantheon and Toutatis have some incredibly intense moments. The reverse section of the swing launch gives violent ejector airtime for those in the front row, and the low to the ground nature makes it feel like you are going much faster than you really are. That said, Toutatis is a slightly more intense coaster of the two, notwithstanding the trim on the top hat. Toutatis is relentless from the first drop out of the station until the final brake run. One thing that Intamin's newer roller coasters do well, especially when they have warmed up, is pacing. Pantheon and Toutatis have incredible pacing. For some, the swing launch might detract from the overall ride experience, but it actually makes the ride experience longer and actually a bit better. Not every roller coaster offers reverse ejector airtime, which makes Pantheon and Toutatis all the more unique. Where these two coasters differ, though, is after the drop off the top hats. While Pantheon has some amazing moments, the large outer banked airtime hill does not hit quite as well as the rest of the elements if you are towards the back of the train. And it is not as well executed as the outer banked airtime hill on Conda, which gives much stronger airtime across the train. Unless you sit in the front row, that lull really dampens the ride's overall pacing. Toutatis does not suffer from that same issue. Every element hits incredibly well, even that wave turn if you sit on the left side of the train. Because of its relentlessness, Toutatis has the better overall pacing. That is not to say, however, that Pantheon does not also have great pacing, as Pantheon's pacing is still quite good. And that pacing is just one reason why Pantheon and Toutatis are so re-rideable. Unlike some older generation Intamin roller coasters like Fahrenheit or El Toro, or even Skyrush, Pantheon and Toutatis are incredibly re-rideable. Aside from the actual layouts, which are quite enjoyable, both coasters get better as the day goes on. If you have done any newer generation Intamin, you know that these coasters need a little time to warm up, and Pantheon and Toutatis are no different. These coasters haul through their layouts as the day goes on. That fact alone contributes to the coaster's re-rideability. They are also incredibly smooth, which makes lapping them much easier. Ride operations do play a role in which coaster is easier to lap though. Pantheon's operations can be a bit slower, while Toutatis's and all of Parc Astérix operations are world class. The next category is setting, or where each roller coaster is located within their respective park. Pantheon is located in the Festa Italia section of Busch Gardens Williamsburg, across from Apollo's Chariot and Tempesto. Pantheon's track also runs alongside the park's Rhine River. Pantheon uses that sloped landscape on the banks of the Rhine River to its full advantage, as it adds just a little more height to the drop off of the top hat. Toutatis is located in the Festival Toutatis section of Parc Astérix, right behind La Trace du Aura. It occupies a plot of land that just used to be trees. And because it is so close to La Trace du Aura, Toutatis has a couple of nice interactions with the coaster. It travels underneath and around La Trace du Aura, which makes for some good visuals. While both coasters have good settings in their respective parks, Pantheon has the slightly better setting. It never gets old seeing the other side of the Rhine River while going over the top hat. And that dive off the top hat has a low to the ground element that gets pretty close to the banks of the Rhine River. Toutatis' setting is still good though, as it offers some nice views of a French chateau in the distance if you look close enough. While Pantheon has the better overall setting, Toutatis takes the theming category by a mile. Parc Astérix went all out with Toutatis' theming. The park seamlessly integrated Toutatis into the Festival Toutatis section, complete with a large statue of Toutatis himself and jubilant music. And the theming does not stop with the plaza. It continues all the way into the station. There are some great details in the queue, and that rock work on the station ceiling is really cool. There is even some lighting that flashes during dispatches. Toutatis also incorporates the theming into the ride experience. The launches are embedded in trenches, which enhances your overall sense of speed, and those warrior cutouts underneath the zero-G roll provide a great near-miss element. Pantheon, however, lacks any theming whatsoever. It looks like a roller coaster plopped in a field. While there are some stone signs in the queue detailing which sections of the ride correspond with which Roman gods, that theming comes nowhere close to Toutatis's. And that's a shame, since Busch Gardens Williamsburg could have done so much more with Pantheon's theming. Just look at Verbolten on the other side of the park. Pantheon and Toutatis are two amazing roller coasters with spectacular ride experiences. While it lacks the same theming detail as Toutatis, Pantheon makes up for it with an amazing night ride. The drop off the top hat feels like you are diving into the great unknown, and the zero-G stall is amazing since there are hardly any lights during the ride layout. Toutatis, on the other hand, wastes no time getting into the ride experience. Since Toutatis has a slight drop out of the station into the first launch, you get some good airtime before you even get into the ride experience if you are sitting in the very back row. Not too many coasters kicks things off with a bang like that. Pantheon and Toutatis are Busch Gardens Williamsburg's and Parc Astérix's headlining attractions. They both pack in tons of airtime, hangtime, and good forces throughout their ride experiences. While they have similar ride experiences, one coaster delivers the better overall experience, and that coaster is Toutatis. Aside from one nitpick, Toutatis is a complete ride with amazing theming, stellar pacing, and a great variety of forces. That said, Pantheon is still amazing in its own right. So, let us know in the comments below if you have been on both roller coasters, and if so, which coaster do you think is the better one between the two? And if you enjoyed this video or are new to the channel, please like and subscribe for more amusement park content like this. Thank you for watching, and stay tuned for more coaster comparisons and amusement park content coming soon to Coaster Adventures, and we hope to see you in the next one.